The Canadian Trump derangement syndrome has to stop. It's beyond pathetic. Jamil Giovanni is, of course, correct. A massive hissy fit continues to take place. Here's Doug Ford with Wolf Blitzer. And then we have some other stuff after this.
And there's going to be the midterms. I've never seen so many Canadians all cheering on the Democrats. And
speak for yourself, big boy. I want Trump and the Republicans to sweep the midterms. It's good. It keeps bad politicians like you on your heels. If you're in Ontario and you're a conservative, I mean, you can't still like Doug Ford, right? He's awful.
And there's, I think there's 33 Senate seats up for grabs. 20 of them are Republican. But we saw what happened in Congress. We saw what happened in the Supreme Court. The walls are closing in, I believe, on President Trump right now, and he's feeling the pressure. So a lot of these jobs are border states that are being affected, and he needs those seats. So if it continues on, people are gonna be unemployed, and which will affect the midterms. And
is that what Ontarians voted for? Doug Ford to say radical, crazy stuff like the walls are closing in on Trump. I actually dislike politicians like Doug Ford more than garden variety liberals. Of course, Justin Trudeau will always probably be my number one disliked Canadian politician of all time, but Doug Ford, I think, is worse than a regular liberal because he says he's a conservative. In what universe is that true? I got another clip here from Doug.
The walls are closing in on President Trump. No matter if you saw him lose the vote and 6 Republicans across the floor with Congress, then you saw the Supreme Court decision. We'll see how the Senate decision comes up. But I'm going to be on the phone full steam. And
what a clown.
Later on, I think in a month or so, I'm going to do a U.S. trip with the other governors. Governors are meeting, I believe. And that
again, in what universe is this guy a conservative? He stands for himself. He should start a new party called the Doug Ford Party. Now we're going to go take a look at this clip. There's a chance you've already seen it, but this certainly exemplifies Canadian Trump derangement syndrome to the nth degree.
A liberal strategist accuses Trump of kidnapping and killing his own citizens. And as the person who clipped this and posted to X said, you know this was going to end up on Fox. This is going to be on Gutfeld, for sure. We're going to be making fun of it. And which means it's going to end up on the president's TV screen.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Americans are watching as President Trump chooses to kidnap and kill his own citizens as opposed to lowering prices. Canadians are watching that in horror and want our government to chart a new path and a new way forward.
It's so shameful. That was around the time of those Minnesota protests, but there is no limit to the Canadian Trump derangement syndrome, and it's ruining the country, quite literally. So many Canadians have been brainwashed by this crap. We'll take a look at a few more clips. Here is Don Davies, interim leader of the NDP party.
It is clear that Canada faces serious economic, political, and military threats from the Trump administration.
Some people who are very gullible will believe that. Oh my gosh, man. Disgusting.
Threats from the Trump administration. These actions and statements constitute a new and troubling U.S. approach to security and constitute non-adherence to international norms. They follow repeated and continuing threats made to Canada since Donald Trump became president. Taken together, these developments have urgent, pressing, and profound implications for Canadian security and sovereignty.
Whoever the new NDP leader is will skyrocket in the polls if they mention Trump in every sentence. The Canadian Trump derangement syndrome is so real. Maybe that could be their strategy to peel voters away from the Liberals, just be even more crazy than the Liberal Party. Okay, here's a recent clip that was released following the Trump State of the Union address last night. I think it fell flat. Let's take a look. It's a relatively short clip.
And joining me now is CTV's U.S. political analyst, Eric Kam. Eric, there was an interesting moment when Trump said last week's Supreme Court decision striking down sweeping tariffs was unfortunate, as the camera showed the justices listening stoically. What did you make of the story Trump presented about America's economic and security progress versus the reality?
The president certainly had a massive sell tonight to the American people. However, I think it fell flat. The president was still talking about vision. The American people want to see reality. And tonight they did not get that. Tomorrow they will wake up feeling more anxious about the economy and President Donald Trump's tariffs, which continue to pummel the economy.
That is disgusting, dude. That's not analysis.
Eric Kam, appreciate your analysis.
That's not analysis. That's Trump derangement syndrome. Canada should have way more economic anxiety than America. Have you even looked at the numbers?
So there's this controversy about Alabama having a higher GDP per capita than Canada. Now, this is true, but there are people like the guy who runs the Polling Canada X account who just cannot believe it. Polling Canada here says, genuinely very funny. People are arguing Alabama has a higher standard of living than Canada. Are they smoking crack?
The person, by the way, that runs that account, Polling Canada, is a radical left-wing nutcase. They should change their name literally to Radical Far Left Nut Job Polling. That would be a more accurate name. America, GDP per capita is eating our lunch, but America, economic anxiety? Give me a break. America has the problems of a regular country. Canada has an economic crisis on its hands that is being distracted away, voodooed away by, oh, Trump derangement syndrome, focus on Trump. It's pathetic. That was dog water analysis by this guy.
Vision. The American people want to see reality. And
Canadians want reality. I mean, a lot of Canadians actually don't, unfortunately. They just want to put their head in the sand and blame Trump for everything, but...
And tonight they did not get that. Tomorrow they will wake up feeling more anxious about the economy and President Donald Trump's tariffs, which continue to pummel the economy.
That is disgusting, dude. Okay, I'm going to finish my video here with a couple posts on X. Poilievre posts this, a graphic of asylum claim backlog, which Poilievre should be posting stuff like that far more than he does. Sharon Carr, CTV contributor, it's giving MAGA. By the way, it's not an insult, actually, MAGA, in my opinion. I know people like that certainly think that it is. And then I'll go to this post here from JD Vance. It's actually from a little while ago, November 21, 2025. He says, and with all due respect to my Canadian friends, whose politics focus obsessively on the United States, your stagnating living standards have nothing to do with Donald Trump or whatever bogeyman the CBC boogeyman tells you to blame. The fault lies with your leadership elected by you. He's obviously correct on that. It's the sad, uncomfortable truth that's so obvious, and the Conservative Party of Canada and Poilievre has to wake up to this. They have to push back against this. They have to call out Trump derangement syndrome. You're going to get called MAGA, Maple MAGA. You're going to get called a traitor by the crazy leftists of this country. But if you want to win elections or even have a chance, you're going to have to do that. Anyway, with that said, thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe. Have a great day.